30 seconds and counting.
Aye.
Astronauts report it
Aye.
feels good. T-minus 25 seconds.
Aye. Feet 5'4", nothing to a giant. Waited my turn, call it perfect time and trust the Most High. Got the stars aligning, I was tapped in. I've been strategizing, dreams coming true. I've been fantasizing while you criticize. Pay attention to the signs, symbolize. Feel like a legend, they go idolize. Ayy, I'm a hero, wear my cape. Independent leader made a way. I'm the people's voice, hip hip parade. Stuck to my pace, the turtle win the race. There's trophies on trophies, views from the townscape. Change is great, praise, then I had to skate. God told me time to go elevate. Chosen child, I'm the champ now, not a featherweight. Man, I'm so blessed, I just meditate. Peace of mind, that's what you get when you out the way. By any means, I just listen what Malcolm say. Studied the game, I'm a student, learned every day. Stacking my bucks and I'm not talking Tampa Bay. Running the game, feel like first in the relay. Hand me my medal, took it to new levels. All gas on the pedal, not stagnant, could settle, nah. Yeah, hey, we see you very soon. This what I'm here to do. Here to inspire you. We headed to the moon. Look, yeah, I'm living proof. About to blast off like Zoo. We about to take the roof.
We have a liftoff.
We headed to the moon. Just for the culture, stacking our beats like it's Folgers. We on the move, we in motion. I believe I got a notion. Nothing but love, that's devotion. Budgets don't cost me, I'm with the commotion. I can be Batman, then turn to the Joker. Debo with the loafers. I'm trying to stay focused. I see it, I want it. That's hocus and pocus. And voila, it's all in my hands, but I give it to Allah. He blessed me with more and more overflow. Tada, I know I'm the best. I don't need your fake shout outs. I'm putting the work like an OVO night owl. The realest, you see it. I know that you notice. I keep it 100, never sugarcoated. I'm locked and I'm loaded. Pockets getting bloated. The goat on the mic, you deaf is who they voted. Yeah, hey, we see you very soon. This what I'm here to do. Here to inspire you. We headed to the moon. Look, yeah, I'm living proof. About to blast off like Zoo. We about to take the roof.
We have a liftoff.
We headed to the moon.
Hello and welcome to Inspired Earth. This week we're going to be talking about the moon and building a railroad on the moon apparently, and then we're going to talk about Neuralink for a little bit, then making clean drinking water with Texas State, and then a fringe theory that is very old and very strange about the sun being conscious. So here we go with DARPA picks Northrop Grumman to develop lunar railroad concept. I had meant to talk about this, but I had almost forgotten that. So think about this whenever we're talking about building a lunar railroad. That the people in East Palestine, Ohio, they got told that their homes were clear of toxins last year. Well, it turns out it might not have been the case. And I'm sure that you guys remember the Norfolk Southern freight train that derailed February 3rd, 2023. We have a picture here. And then we have a different one, Ohio's Chernobyl, still wreaking havoc in Pennsylvania. Because it was like Chernobyl. I mean, look at these pictures. It looks exactly like an American Chernobyl. And that what residents have repeated for a year, that they had no trust in the railroad corporation since the derailment, and since lost trust in state and federal agencies due to poor communication and officials not responding to their needs. So, before I even just continue on, I'll also say that the unions were also warning at that time that it was unsafe. And then we broke the union strike, and then the disaster happened. So even the union, the actual workers, were warning that it was unsafe. Not only does the citizens say that it's unsafe, but the workers were unsafe of these railroad industries. So they're saying that they're going to build a railroad system on the moon when Palestine, Ohio, still hasn't even been cleaned up yet. We still do not have safe transportation systems here on Earth. And the people that have been devastated by these disasters from corporate greed still have not been repaid. Their homes are still toxic, and we're going to go to the moon and build a railroad there. And I just wanted to have that thought out there as we learn about this. The proposed rail system could help humanity set up shop on the moon. Railroads could open the moon to serious and sustained economic development as they did in the American West in the late 19th century. That's apparently the hope of U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, which is supporting the development of a lunar railroad concept proposed by aerospace giant Northrop Grumman, which is weird that Northrop Grumman came to DARPA with the project. You would think usually it would be the other way around, that the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency would come up with an idea and then go to one of these defense contractors and get them to do the idea. But nope, it was completely opposite of that this time. Northrop Grumman seems to have like the whole plan. They're coming to DARPA with it. The Northrop Grumman proposed it. So the envisioned lunar railroad network could transport humans, supplies, and resources for commercial ventures across the lunar surface, contributing to a space economy for the United States and international partners, Northrop Grumman representatives wrote in a press statement on Tuesday. So they didn't even show up in person to talk either. They just sent like a letter in. It says Northrop Grumman was one of 14 companies that DARPA selected this past December to participate in its 10-year lunar architecture Luna 10 capability study, which aims to help humanity extend its economic footprint deep into space. A large paradigm shift is coming in the next 10 years for the lunar economy, Michael Nayak, program manager at DARPA's Luna 10 project, had said. To get to a turning point faster, Luna A10 uniquely aims to identify solutions that can enable multi-mission lunar systems. Imagine a wireless power station that can also provide comms and navigation in its beam, Nayak said. That's exactly what Nikola Tesla had talked about in the 20s and 30s and 40s. Exactly. That he had a giant tower that would be wireless and could give power and communication and navigation, and that it should be free, and that we should give the whole world abundance and prosperity, and that he can protect everybody with this type of technology, and that the government just needs to trust him, and that he will be able to like power the whole world and make it for free. And then he ended up dead, and the FBI took all his stuff and technology, and that's like there's public documents about that. So that's not even like a conspiracy theory. That's just literally what happened. Key technologies that may be used by the government and the commercial space industry and ultimately catalyze economic vibrancy on the moon. While DARPA's December press statement revealed 14 selected companies, which included big names like SpaceX and Blue Origin, they did not describe what they will do. However, Northrop Grumman gave a brief outline on the Lunar Railroad investigation in its statement. So they already had a plan. Like, all the other people were like, we don't know what we're going to do. We have no idea. We have no plan. And then Northrop Grumman comes in. They're like, well, let me just put out this 10-year outline. Define the interfaces and resources required to build a lunar rail network. Establish a critical list of foreseeable costs, technological and logistical risk, identify prototypes, demonstrations, and analysis of fully operating lunar rail systems, concept, design, and architecture. Explore concepts for constructing and operating the systems with robotics, including grading and foundation preparation, track placement and alignment joining, and finishing, inspection, maintenance, and repair. Which we've already seen all of that stuff before, but we'll talk about that another time. We have an update with Neuralink, and it says that the Neuralink patient was playing Mario Kart with his dad and playing hours of chess and stayed up late playing Civilization 6, which is kind of a flex that he can play video games with his mind, and playing Mario Kart with your mind sounds awesome. We're going to quickly talking about here drinking water in Texas. That Texas State, they've been working on this project for since fall of like last year, and they have a 5-step process they use, and the process is ozonation, biological filtration, ultrafiltration, reverse osmosis, and ultraviolet disinfection, which all of those are pretty standard. And then it says that ozonation, ozone gas, reactive gas, is injected into the water where it reacts and removes contaminants. The biological carbon filtration process essentially acts like a large Brita filter, removing more organic compounds. The ultrafiltration and reverse osmosis are used to further clean the water by using semi-permeable membranes to remove small contaminants in the water. In the final stage, ultraviolet light is used to disinfect the water, polishing it at the very end. And that the system is redundant, and if one process fails, the contaminants are still removed in other steps. However, ozonation creates bromate, which must be monitored and removed. So it says that the freeze in January cost $12,000 and they still haven't repaired it, but the research is still ongoing, and that they, like, pretty much everything's working and they can still go. So we have to meet the drinking water standards 100% of the time, 24/7 and 365 days. Because the goal is to produce water that can be immediately provided to customers without additional treatment or dilution with any water, they need to be able to immediately detect issues and shut down the system without waiting for lab tests, which can take longer. The goal is to implement sensors that can provide real-time monitoring of certain pathogens and chemicals in the water, said graduate engineering student Rasha Khan, who worked on his project since last fall. That could also help make the entire system more efficient. While they're currently using 5 different processes to treat the wastewater, the monitoring system could allow them to reduce the number of processes needed, making it less expensive and more feasible to implement. We don't want to build a system that's only affordable for rich cities. If we use all 5, we can ensure the water is 100% safe, but that is going to be very, very expensive. He said adding a strong monitoring system could reduce the number of steps without affecting quality. So that's really awesome. And it says that normally they just dump the wastewater into the rivers. It says typically 5 to 7 million gallons per day, which is a lot. And pouring wastewater into the rivers is not great. But here we have the fringe theory claims the sun may be conscious, which is a very old concept. A bong rip of a theory suggests that all matter possesses some form or mind or consciousness, not just animals, including, as one biologist suggests, the sun itself. In a fascinating dive into the hypothesis, which adherents call panpsychism, popular mechanics report that this out-there concept has existed for thousands of years, and its more crystallized form has been bubbling around for the last few hundred years. Though inklings of similar thought had existed since ancient Greece, the term panpsychism was, as the report explains, coined in the 16th century by Italian philosopher Francesco Pedrizzi, though it enjoyed 19th century credibility when the psychology superstar Williams James publicly ascribed to it. The theory was veritably killed in the 1920s by the Vienna Circle when its logical positivism, the idea that philosophical questions must have logical answers, took hold of philosophical world. So logical positivism, the idea that philosophical questions must have logical answers, that's a oh my god, this is like circle talk and so hard to pronounce. That's a philosophical take of its own. To say that everything has to be logical is a philosophy of its own, which is ironic because it's like a contradiction to its own like premise if you think about it. But that's like a whole tangent, and yeah, but it's crazy how whenever you think about things, It changes stuff. Fast forward to the year 2004 when another Italian, the neuroscientist and psychiatrist Giulio Tonami, proposed what he called integrated information theory of consciousness, which suggests that consciousness is essentially almost everywhere. By and for a sort of panpsychist, Renaissance began to take place, and in 2014, nearly 100 years after the Vienna Circle killed the feel-good theory, the respected neuroscientist Christoph Koch had argued in Scientific American that if lumps of matter can form into human bodies and become consciousness, there's no reason that groups of elementary particles couldn't either. So, if all of our human bodies are made of matter, and then we have consciousness, who's to say necessarily where that consciousness actually comes from? Like, obviously there's a part of the brain that is involved with it, but it's not necessarily inherent to the brain, that, like, with near-death experiences or whatever, even death experiences, people that come back that were experiencing stuff while their brain was dead that, like, can't really be explained. But, while AI pioneer and fashion-forward hat wearer Ben Goertzel has been an adherent since at least 2004, perhaps some of the most compelling instances of panpsychist thought came in 2021, when biologist and author Rupert Sheldrake published a paper questioning whether the sun itself might be conscious. Consciousness does not need to be confined to the brains. The link between minds and physical systems seems to be through rhythmic electromagnetic fields, which of course are present in our brains. They are also present in and around the sun, and these could be the interface between solar mind and the body of the sun. So, if there's rhythmic electrical systems going on in our brains, and we see that same thing going on in the sun, then who's to say that isn't some sort of consciousness? But that's really trippy to think about, and if the sun is conscious, we all know that the sun has a crazy amount of gravity, and gravity changes time, so we think, with the theory of relativity. So if the sun has this giant amount of electromagnetic consciousness, and it has this giant amount of gravity, isn't that saying that it's going to be conscious and, like, exist in a different time than us? Because as gravity increases, doesn't time slow down or speed up? I can't remember which one. I always get it mixed up. But so time's not going to be the same. I think it slows down. So that consciousness, the consciousness of the sun, hypothetically, would be possibly, like, going through time in a way. It'd definitely be living in a different time than us, because it would be slower or faster. It's really trippy. And they were just talking about measuring all these electromagnetic fields coming out of a black hole. So, would a black hole have consciousness? It's just really weird. And then, this is like, we can't even really conceive of what this even means, but isn't actual matter like only 1% of the universe, or less than 1% of the universe? So who's to say that consciousness is even limited to like what we call matter? Because dark matter is like 99% of the universe or whatever. So who's to say that consciousness doesn't even go into that? I mean, it gets really hard to comprehend. But it says, to be fair, there isn't a lick of evidence to support this theory, which is totally not true, because we just talked about in the last episode about how electromagnetic fields with the Schumann resonance in the brain connect to one another, and yada yada yada. And it says here that he was working on telepathy, and those two are connected. We were talking about the same exact energy systems and energy measurements. It says Sheldrake is a particular character. He holds a PhD in biochemistry, and he did research at Cambridge University in the 1970s, but he's been drawn to a variety of extremely far-out topics, ranging from crystals to telepathy, and has been largely dismissed in the mainstream. So, telepathy fits in exactly with this. And if you go back here to the space article, what I was talking about with whenever this guy says, imagine a wireless power station that can provide communications and navigations in its beam. That's exactly what Tesla said 100 years ago, and they didn't want to listen. He wanted it to be free, and he said that it was possible, and then he ended up dead, and they took everything. So here we have this guy saying that, hey, this stuff is interlinked, and he's being dismissed largely by the mainstream. Well, they don't want us to be aware of this because that's going to impact their bottom dollar. They wanted the past 100 years of people living without power and having to scrape by to make them rich, and that's why they killed Tesla. And then here they are talking about that exact technology later. I guarantee you that we're going to come back and find that Sheldrake, I don't know exactly this whole electromagnetic thing, but I guarantee you that we're going to find out that this is true. I mean, it's obviously true. We don't need them to tell us that, because we've already found it throughout it, and all of their documents point to it. But still, it's a fun idea in a science fiction type of way, the author says. The sun is a complex system. Maybe it harbors mysteries we haven't yet comprehended. And say the whole thing is somehow true. If so, what would the sun think about? Which is super trippy. What would the sun think about? It may be able to choose in which direction to send out solar flares or coronal mass ejection, which can have an enormous effect on the life on Earth, and to which our technologies are very vulnerable. So the next thing that I thought of with this, well, while I was reading this, is what did they talk about with nuclear weapons? Unleashing the power of the sun. That atomic weapons are fission, and then hydrogen weapons are apparently a combination of both fusion and fission. I had to look it up here. That thermonuclear weapons utilize atomic fission and nuclear fusion to create explosions. And so if a nuclear weapon produces rhythmic electromagnetic fields, would that mean that a nuclear explosion has consciousness? And which is super creepy. I got creeped out whenever I was thinking about that. What sort of consciousness would a nuclear explosion have? And is that just like the raw power of God? Like, what consciousness, or is that something like negative? Like a negative consciousness? I don't know. I kind of don't believe. I mean, it's super creepy to think about, but I think I would lean more into the God aspect of that for sure. That it's more likely to be just like raw power of God, which is kind of what the Hindus talk about a little bit. But this has been a interesting one, and I just wanted to put some food for thought out there that this whole fringe theory claims the sun may be consciousness thing is pretty out there. There's also been other people that have talked about the Earth having consciousness, and some studies not that long ago. But yeah, if it's all about electromagnetic rhythms, then why wouldn't a like a neutron star or black hole have consciousness? Because they're both rhythmically putting off electromagnetic stuff. So I don't know, it's something to think about. And if they exist as well, if they exist within the electromagnetic spectrum of rhythm or whatever, then that could potentially mean that we could like talk to the sun with an EVP. What would the sun sound like? What would it choose to make itself sound like if it could? I'll let you ponder that, because I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I can even imagine.
There's something